Just talk about the difference in the way the game started and then the way you guys played the most better part of 3 quarters.
Yeah, well, obviously we got ourselves in a hole early with turnovers and then 2 big plays, 2 long plays that we mis-executed defensively. And I think our players deserve a lot of credit for, fighting through all that. But it's not a good formula for trying to win a ball game in Baton Rouge. And, preface any comments I make today about our team, LSU is a very good football team. Probably a lot better up front than we anticipated. And I thought they played extremely well, but again, we were sometimes our own worst enemy. And the long run on the short yardage play was the one that really hurt because we had a good series, get them in 3rd and 2, and let that thing break through and then hit out the perimeter. So I just think our kids deserve a lot of credit for fighting back, but it's really, that put us in a tough situation.
Did you change anything scheme-wise?
No, well, mainly we were playing 5 defensive linemen in our short yardage package, trying to get bigger people out there, obviously because of their personnel. And it looked good all week in practice, but frankly, their offensive line out-executed us. And we had some issues with it that wouldn't feel comfortable, so we got out of it. Second half just went back to some other things we've been doing in short yardage. And didn't play well in short yardage overall. And then when they ran their 2 tight ends, what we call 22, 2 backs and 2 tight ends, we wanted to use that personnel grouping a lot for that also, even when they used it in normal downs, and had to get away from that. I just thought the player, we finally got them settled down on some formations and what was coming off of them, and they just played a little bit better the second half. Got some pressure on the quarterback a little bit better.
How much was that the plan to really attack and put pressure on Mettenberger?
Well, we didn't have a big pressure package. We tried to mix it up and drop 8 and bring a little bit of pressure as a mixture. Got a good play out of dropping 8 one time and running again in the beginning of the 4th quarter, and 2 guys, wander out of the coverage in their zone, bust the coverage, and we go for a 32-yard touchdown. So there was some good things. There's some good things we can build on. But again, we still make some mistakes that are self-inflicted with assignments, things that have been covered, and we just got to get more consistent on it.
So there was a player at the tight end down the seam in the 4th quarter. He was just wide open. What happened on that?
Yeah, we did base coverage, and we failed to make the proper adjustment to the trips formation, and didn't have it covered.
Who had that middle third? Or was
I'm
it?
not getting all that.
All right.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Anybody, after grading the film, have a pretty good game on defense?
McKenzie had a bunch of production. It's one of those, when he was good, he was very, very good, and when he was bad, it was just something, how could you do that? But he had a bunch of tackles. I had him for about 5 tackles for loss. Had a sack. First time I've seen somebody really get on the edge and make a one-on-one pass rush move and make the turn and get the quarterback. But he had some mental errors that were really things that could really be hurtful to us. So I'm not saying he had a great game, he had a very productive game. Thought the corners played extremely well. Each one of them had one bad play in the game that really hurt us, but I thought they held up in coverage for the most part extremely well, especially man. Didn't think anybody had any kind of an outstanding game.
Do you believe that, this week, you think this is well timed for your guys, considering some of the, as you said, missed assignments there?
Well, it's more than that. We physically are beat up. We've been through musical chairs on defense and still are going through it. We've got guys even that are playing in games or practicing 1.5 days a week. We've got guys that are missing. An open day could have helped us earlier, but I think it is a very good time for it now. And obviously the missed assignments and all that, that's something that needs to be corrected. There will be absolutely 0 carryover from LSU to Ole Miss. Totally different systems. And we did work a lot of corrections today because down the road we'll be back in some of those schemes. But there'll be almost no carryover to the Ole Miss game. But we do need to work on cleaning up some of those busted assignments.
To that musical chairs you speak of, Chris Davis initially goes down. You didn't expect him to miss any time. Now he's missed 2 games. What is the latest with him?
Well, it's day to day. A lot of these things we're having are like ankles and strains and stuff like that. It's not a broken bone or surgery, so it's just, how quick do they come back off of rehab? I'm going to be optimistic and certainly say we're going to have for that next ball game. And whether they'll get to work much this week, I don't know. It's just day to day.
And Craig Sanders?
Don't know anything about Craig. I'm not sure how his is coming along.
Ellis, as far as using Brandon King yesterday, it seemed like he was out there with Threezy a bunch. What was he kind of doing with his role?
Freezy had a neck stinger. Had about 2 or 3 incidents with it during the course of the game. And Brandon came in, did a pretty good job for his first time with a lot of reps in a big-time college game. That's certainly going to help him down the road. He made a couple of mistakes, had a busted alignment, but that experience hopefully will help him.
How have you seen the young defensive linemen come along, Montravius, Carl, Elijah? How have they come along so far?
They're doing well. Montravius, I think, is right now just, he's right there neck and neck with our starters, but still just a little bit, has to learn what to do, a few assignment things, to keep him behind physically, though he's playing good. Elijah's getting in on pass situation downs quite a bit. He might be as good a one-on-one pass rush as we have. Got great first step, good power. Can use him inside or outside. And Carl played a few snaps the other night. Carl's been good. And they just continue to progress. That's an area, where we've gotten some guys back, and now all of a sudden we've got a lot of competition. Justin Delaney's had a couple of really good games. Darius has played good for us in spots. So, it's getting to the point where it's a lot of competition and a lot of guys competing for that playing time in the games. But they've come along pretty well.
When you start out with that 5-man look, Ellis, was that designed to kind of slow their running game?
Yeah, we needed some bigger bodies out there. They're big 22 personnel, and the lead fullback weighs about 280, so we wanted to get an extra lineman on the field. And that wasn't the issue. The issue was we didn't fit it right, and the cutback got us off of it. And we just got to do a better job, technique, fundamentals.
As we talked about last week, the late success with the defense, the fourth quarter streak y'all had going, all that. But what do you attribute kind of the early struggles? I mean, y'all been gassed. This is essentially the 4th straight game that y'all been gassed.
This one was field position, the ball on the 11-yard line, and a bad play on 3rd and 2. I mean, there you are, 14-0. The ball game's barely got started. Just 2 plays, you take them off the board, and you're not sitting there digging in a hole, but you are. It is what it is. Once they got rolling now, it's LSU. I mean, they're a good football team. We made some good plays against them, but they hit us on a couple and executed better than we did sometimes. I mean, you get blocked, you get blocked. But I thought the reason we probably played better in the 4th quarter or even in the 2nd half, we've been playing a lot of people by necessity or by luxury. We've played a lot of guys. Even our young guys y'all keep asking about, they're getting some reps, we're keeping people fresh, and I think some of those ball games, it has made a difference in how we finished. The other night, we just dug too deep a hole for it to make any difference in the 2nd half. Probably played better in the 2nd half. You make somebody punt 6 times, you get a 4th down stop, and you get 2 takeaways, you say, that's a pretty good day. But we got 5 touchdowns because of the explosive plays instead of maybe 2 touchdowns and a field goal or 2 or something of that nature. So it's just, we just still continue to have these 5 or 6 plays that are just ugly, and not to take anything away from the opponent, but it's more self-inflicted, and we just got to get them cleaned up.
Ellis,
If
go ahead.
you had to do it over again, would you just stick with your regular 4-2-5 instead of going with that 5-man front to start with?
On short yardage?
No, just in the beginning of the game in general. It seemed like some of the players were confused about how to fit that, like you said.
No, they just got whipped. I mean, we got cut off on the backside, and the back made a great cake, and then boy, had 4 missed tackles on one play.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you're on the field. The base 4-2-5 was okay with it on normal downs, but you'd basically be conceding short yardage, if we didn't get that extra body out there. And it's a package we worked quite a bit, but our offense doesn't run anything like that. So we really haven't run it against good people. And I think the technique of it, we got cut off our feet and pushed by, and that was the biggest issue with it, is we just really have not worked it against good players yet.
That was on Jeremy's 2nd run. It was 54 yards. I think, and I'm sure plenty of people had an opportunity to get to him, but I think Josh Holsey missed the tackle and was pretty upset with himself there on the field on it. I think Josh only had 1 tackle in the game. He was credited with 1 tackle in the game. How did he grade out for a boundary safety? Because
don't know. As far as overall, he played very solid, but I don't know about all the production. Sometimes those things are coincidental. Could be the fact where they were attacking people. We had some missed tackles back there. Anytime you have a missed tackle by a lineman, nobody knows. When you have a missed tackle in the perimeter, everybody knows. But we did have 2 or 3 real critical missed tackles in the perimeter. We were talking about it today. Usually, like Melvin said, if your field corner misses a tackle, there's not much help out there, you know, to cover up for it. So we had a couple of those. Really, the one on the long run you're talking about, we bought a gap blitz, and it popped, and the DBs took bad ankles, just overran it.
At this point, what would you say is the most consistent unit you've had out there on the field?
You mean those?
Play, you know, the corners, the safeties, the linemen. We think
In which position?
Yeah, position group, yeah.
That'd be hard to say. I think our secondary probably has been the most productive overall and most steady. But as a group, no question, I think they probably played the best. We put a lot of stress on them. We played a lot of man coverage against Washington State. We played people like Arkansas State, all these crazy adjustments. So they really probably had if it's possible to say this, they probably had more on their back than any other position group, and I think they probably played really well.
Ellis, you mentioned Justice Delaney. He's been kind of off the radar since he's been here, really. When did he kind of come on your radar that you thought he could help?
The second ball game, he made some really good plays, and Rodney felt like he was coming to a situation where he was one of the best pass rushers. And it just improved steadily. You know, he's got some things to do better, obviously, but we've been really pleased with some of the stuff he's done for us in pass situation.
What did you see out of Chris and Jake in the middle?
Played steady. You know, Jake didn't have a lot of tackles, but didn't have a missed tackle. Had one missed tackle. Chris, I had to take him out on a couple of issues where we had a misalignment. He didn't play as many plays, mainly because of that. But Chris's shoulder is bothering him too. And I took him out one time, he hit his shoulder. Took him out one time, held him for a series or two. But they were okay. They a lot of inside fire zones we ran. They weren't the Terminator, but they were the Determinator. In other words, they caused the disruption or the play to be stopped and bounced outside or whatever. We're getting decent play out of our linebackers right now. Nothing that nobody's had an outstanding job. It's linebacker by committee right now because, frankly, they need to stay fresh. So I'm really rolling about 4 guys and got a couple others I would feel okay about getting us out of the game. So that, they played steady.
You talk about the missed tackles. Do y'all kind of chart some of that? And then how many, can you give an idea of how many you actually have?
We only had 12 in the whole game, which that is not great, but against a big time SEC team, that ain't real bad. Occasionally, I'm gonna tell you, it was like, my little boy come home and said, "Dad, I didn't have any errors today," but he never went after the ball, But you see some of those great players in the major leaguers have an error because they're the only guy that can get to that ball. But we had some guys that they weren't in position to miss a tackle. But the bottom line is we only had about 11 missed tackles, and that's not terribly bad. The other thing we chart is pre-snap penalties and post-snap penalties. Aggressive penalties during the game, we chart them all, but those are not the ones that drive you crazy. Didn't have any. And then I think the other thing we were really big on was missed assignments, and it was 17, and that's not good. That's not unheard of. You could have a missed alignment up front, no big deal maybe. The 17 missed assignments could sometimes at the right time be really big, and that was the worst thing. Missed assignments more than missed tackles or anything else.
Remember those missed assignments for those mainly in the first half? Do you remember?
No, there were different times. The big one was the pass down the middle, and then we had one other one. The guys came out of zone coverage on that 32-yard touchdown pass. 2 guys not holding zone, jumped the guy man to man, and opened up a window. Things like that are just little things that cause us these trash plays.